Hey, it's Tom from Texas, and it's time for another Floppy Deep Dive. And tonight we are going to be diving into another edition of What's on That Floppy. And we're now to still a tiny little bit, but getting much straighter than it was before. But we're going to go through this floppy, load it up for the first time in over 30 plus years. So I want to do a shout out to one of my subscribers who sent me this cool Pirates mug all the way from Britain, and along with some directions on the proper way to make British tea. And so I followed his directions and made me some British tea, but he knows that I love pirates, and he just sent it out of the blue, and it was just so cool, and I appreciate it. So shout out to Winston Fahrenheit. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for this, and I will enjoy this mug and enjoy me some nice British tea. I don't know if all of y'all know that I also have Instagram and a Twitter account that I post to quite regularly as Floppy Deep Dive, and I'll put the addresses up in the video. Probably on this side. There's more room on this side. I'll put it on this side so you can, if you want to follow me along on that. I post almost daily just a random video game from one of my old retro systems, most of the time Commodore 64. Check me out on Twitter and check me out on Instagram. You'll see quite a few postings from me during the week. So anyway, let's go ahead and grab a chair and pull up a joystick and let's get started. So it's time for another edition of What's on That Floppy, and tonight we're going to be looking at this floppy right here, the next in my collection. So on this floppy we've got three things we're going to be checking out tonight. So the first one we're going to be checking out takes the whole disc, and it's something that's called Bruno's Boxing. My version is another ice pick game of this Bruno's Boxing, and this was an unlicensed version that was released for the Commodore 64. It was also released for the ZX Spectrum and the Amstrad CPC. So this was the unlicensed version of Super Punch-Out, and this came out in 1985 on the Commodore 64. And Elite Systems brought this game out, and it was made exclusively for Europe. For me over here in the States, Frank Bruno wasn't much of a name. You know, obviously we had Mike Tyson, and I believe Frank Bruno did fight Mike Tyson, but Tyson was huge back then, but not Frank Bruno. But I know over in Europe that he was more of a name, and he was a real live boxer instead of just the green frame that's in Super Punch-Out. You actually were the real life boxer Frank Bruno fighting this. And only the first three opponents of the Super Punch-Out was included in the game, but they changed their names. So what was Bear Hugger was now the Canadian Crusher that we're fighting here, and Dragon Chan was named Fling Long Chop, and Vodka Dravinsky was Andrea Puncherov. So they tricked it up a little bit, and it's back in 1985, it was a big seller over there in the UK. When we got it over here in the States, it was really buggy. So you never really got it past the Canadian Crusher. At least I never did. I know there's other versions out there now, and I haven't had a chance to try that. But this one, once you played the Canadian Crusher, that was the farthest that you got. But it was cool looking back in the day. And the big thing with this one is you had to use two joysticks to do it. So one joystick was dodging you side to side and bringing your arms up and down, and then the other joystick was boxing. So it was a little hard to do it by yourself as one player. If you had two people helping you, you could fight easier. It might have had keyboard controls. Getting this as a cracked, I never seen the original manual on this, but for me figuring it out, that's what I figured out. I could use the controls of the two joystick to be able to do the movement of the boxer and to fight the Canadian. Now, this Canadian Crusher actually makes me think of one of our popular 8-bit Commodore Canadian YouTubers, and I'll put this picture up, see what you think. That just in fun, but this game was, like I said, you had high hopes. It looked really cool. It looked very, like the arcade. When you got to play, it just was so buggy that, like I said, you couldn't get past the Canadian Crusher. So that's the big game on the front of this floppy. That's the main one of all of this floppy. Now let's check out the two on the back.
So we're going to flip it, and now we're going to look at the back side of this floppy of what's on here.
So on the back side here, we got 911 Tigershark and a trivia game, and it's Lynx. It has the .lnx on there, and so if you ever did Lynx before or heard of Lynx before, that was our way to zip up files so you could easily upload it or download it when you're dealing with BBSs. So that's why you would Lynx that, and so I probably Lynxed this back in the 80s, and so now I haven't unlynxed a game in years, so let me see if I can find the utility program and remember how to do it and to see if that trivia works. So I found Lynx 10 on this floppy, and so that's the one that I'm going to use. So let's go ahead and load up Lynx 10 and see if we can get this trivia game. So here's the main menu of Lynx, and it's got create and dissolve. I am going to work with dissolve. That's the program I need to be able to break up all these files again. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my other floppy now, and then we'll try to dissolve it. So we'll get that in there and select dissolve, and it'll start going through the different files. Well, first it'll find all the Lynx files on your floppy disk. So once it identifies that there is a Lynx floppy on there, it'll pop up the name of the Lynx file, and you even select yes or no. So we're going to select yes. We're going to dissolve this Lynx file. So we'll hit yes, and once we hit yes on here, then it will automatically go through all this file, and it will go one by one, and it will dissolve the file. And when we're all done, it should have it all dissolved, and we should be able to load it up like normal again. So I'll speed this up so you guys don't have to sit through all this and watch while it extracts all these files out of this Lynx file. So once it's done, it's going to reset the file, and now it's just saving it all back to the disk like it normally should do. So it looks like the Lynx all it dissolved correctly, and now let's go ahead and let's try out that trivia game and see if it works. So I'm going to load up the trivia game, and it looks like everything's working fine. Let's take a closer look at it. And this is Trivia the Program. Looks like it came out in 1983 by Merlin Scientific Ltd. Do I inquire instructions? The instructions is pretty simple. This game, it's a two-player game, and so I'm gonna put in me against the world. And how this works is there's 1,000 questions that it has on file, and I'm just randomly doing it. So you push up for A, you push to the right for B, down for C, and left for D. And they ask you these, you got 4 choices to do it, and ask you a question, and basically you use your controller and you could battle a person. It's definitely not a one-player one, but you guess, which one. You guess the trivia, you guess the answer. And when you do, you get a little piece of the picture up top, and that picture up top will eventually be a trophy. But that's the trivia game. So it has all these questions, and like I said, would be fun against someone if you had another player, if you like the trivia game type stuff. I don't remember ever playing it. I think I Lynxed it up probably as soon as I got it. Had a lot of blocks, so you could upload this somewhere and get a lot of credits so you can download stuff because it was so big. If y'all remember on BBSs, you would get credit for how many blocks you would upload. So not a lot of people had this trivia game because I'm sure it wasn't the most popular. But today I find it actually pretty cool. So that's the trivia. We got it all on Lynx, got it to work, and still working today. So has anyone ever played this trivia game? All right, let's move on to the last 911 Tigershark. So next we're going to look at 911 Tigershark. And like all games, sometimes they're going to be great and sometimes they're going to be terrible. Well, this one, the case is, it is just terrible. This is one of the worst games I've played on the Commodore. It just doesn't make much sense at all. You're driving this car along these roads, but you could like drive over anything and drive all over the screen. It was just, this one's definitely, I would give a 0 star if I could, but 1 star out of 10. The music's not bad, so that's the end of the road there. But you can drive through this house. I have no idea what you're doing. I don't know how I'm getting damaged or how I even scored 600 points, because all I did was go forward. So as you can see, it's just it's one of those blah games. I even think the Bionic Granny is better than this game. This one's just plain awful. So I won't torture you too much with it, but since it was on this floppy, I had to share. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video tonight and saw there was just only three items on this floppy, so we could look at it pretty cool. I love the Bruno boxing game. It's so buggy and so forth. I wish it wasn't so buggy. I know it came after Super Punch Out or Punch Out, and it was a clone of that, but it's just really, really fun playing that. And until next time, thank you for joining me on another Floppy Deep Dive.